the G20 is an intergovernmental forum that connects the world's major economies. G20 members include Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Republic of Korea, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States of America and European Union. The annual two-day G20 Summit began on Tuesday, November 15, 2022, where key world leaders gathered to ponder upon contemporary global challenges. This event is attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, China's President Xi Jinping, United States President Joe Biden, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak among other heads other than European Union. At 7:06 a.m. Indian Standard Time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives at the venue to attend G20 Summit, where Indonesian President Joko Widodo welcomes Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accompanied by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. At the summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets with U.S. President Joe Biden, also interacts with French President Emmanuel Macron. At around 8:04 a.m. Indian Standard Time, Indonesian President Joko Widodo called on G20 group for stronger commitments to end Russia-Ukraine war. Indonesian President Joko Widodo said, "Being responsible means creating not zero-sum situations. Being responsible here also means that we must end the war. If the war does not end, it will be difficult for the world to move forward, must not fall into another world war. We should not divide the world into parts. We must not allow the world to fall into another world war." He further said, "G20 must not fail today, the world's eye is on us. Will we score a success? Or will we add one more failure? For me, the G20 must be successful, it must not fail," he told leaders at the opening session. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also attended G20 working session on food and energy security. In his intervention, underlined the criticality of resilient supply chains for food, fertilizers and energy, and the need for affordable finance for smooth energy transition for the global south. Prime Minister Narendra Modi tells G20 on Russia-Ukraine, "Our turn to take path of peace. I've repeatedly said we've to find a way to return to the path of ceasefire and diplomacy in Ukraine. Over the past century, World War II wreaked havoc in the world. After that, leaders of that time made a serious effort to take the path of peace. Now it's our turn." He further added that India's energy security important for global growth. India is world's fastest growing economy. We must not promote any restrictions on supply of energy, and we need to ensure stability in energy market. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates calls for ceasefire in Ukraine and asked to return to the path of ceasefire and diplomacy in Ukraine. The members of the G20 should show concrete and collective resolve to ensure peace and security in the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also participated in third working session, Digital Transformation. On the sidelines of the summit, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral meetings with other world leaders. Later part of the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives at the venue in Bali, Indonesia, where an Indian community event was held. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed an Indian community event, The Accomplishments of the Indian. Prime Minister Narendra Modi played the drums as he arrived to interact with the members of the Indian community. Amid cheers and slogans of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, a huge crowd of people dressed in Indian attire and turbans greeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi with folded hands as he arrived at the venue to interact with the Indian community. In the evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping publicly exchanged greetings at the G20 summit. It was the first meeting since the Chinese PLA and the Indian Army standoff in April 2020. On November 16, Rishi Sunak, among world leaders who interacted with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday, said that India attaches great importance to robust ties with the United Kingdom. "We discussed ways to increase commercial linkages, raise the scope of security cooperation in context of India's defense reforms and make people-to-people ties even stronger." At the handing over ceremony came as the member states issued a joint declaration. Most members say Ukraine war causing immense human suffering, exacerbating existing fragilities in global economy. According to the G20 declaration, most members say Ukraine war constrains growth, increasing inflation, heightening energy and food insecurity. The next summit will be held in New Delhi on September 9 to 10. Next year India is expected to host over 200 G20 meetings across the country. Indonesia on Wednesday handed over the G20 presidency to India for the coming year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday took over India's G20 presidency at the Forum's summit in Indonesia's Bali. In his closing remarks at the summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that it is a matter of pride for every Indian as the country takes over the presidency. We will organize G20 meetings in different states and cities in India. Together we will make G20 a catalyst for global change, he said. At a brief ceremony, Indonesian President Joko Widodo handed over the G20 presidency to Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the conclusion of the two-day G20 summit in Bali. Together with every country's efforts, we can make the G20 summit a catalyst for global welfare, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said. We look forward to meeting again in India in 2023, in Brazil in 2024 and in South Africa in 2025, the G20 leaders' declaration said. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has promised a presidency that will be inclusive and a voice of the developing countries. The next summit will be held in New Delhi on September 9 to 10 next year. Under its presidency, India is expected to host over 200 G20 meetings across the country, beginning December 2022, the Ministry of External Affairs said in September. Collectively, the G20 accounts for 85% of the global GDP, 75% of international trade, and two-thirds of the world population, making it the premier forum for international economic cooperation. There were fears earlier that the member states may not agree to a final document. G20 declarations require the consensus of all members. Earlier, Foreign Secretary Vinay Kwatra said the Indian delegation guided by the Prime Minister played a key role in the successful resolution of differences over the outcome document. He said the particular global context was reflected in the consensus documents.
If you like this video, please do not forget to press the like button, hit subscribe and notification button, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter to get the latest updates on our eonlineverse channel.